Hello dear friend, and welcome to On This Day SMR with me, Edward Hertz, where we take a look back through history at events which took place on this day. The rain is gently pittering and pattering away on the window, and the fire is crackling away nicely in the hearth. So put your headphones on, sit back, relax, and let me take you on a journey back through time. Today is Saturday the 27th of January 2024, and we have 46 events to cover, going all the way back to the year 98. Starting with the most recent event which happened last year, protests and public outrage spark across the US after the release of multiple videos by the Memphis Police Department showing officers punching, kicking and pepper spraying Ty Nichols as a result of running away from a traffic stop, which resulted with him dying in the hospital 3 days later after the incident. Also last year, a shooting at a synagogue in Neve Yaakov, East Jerusalem, kills 7 people and injures 3 others. 7 years ago in 2017, a naming ceremony for the chemical element tennessine takes place in the United States. 10 years ago in 2014, in the Rojava conflict, the Kobani canton declares its autonomy from the Syrian Arab Republic. 11 years ago in 2013, 242 people die in a nightclub fire in the Brazilian city of Santa Maria, Rio Grande do Sul. 13 years ago in 2011, in the Arab Spring, the Yemeni revolution begins as over 16,000 protesters demonstrate in Sana'a. In the same year, within Ursa Minor H1504+65, a white dwarf with the hottest known surface temperature in the universe at 200,000 Kelvin was documented. 14 years ago in 2010, the 2009 Honduran constitutional crisis ends when Porfirio Lobo Sosa becomes the new president of Honduras. In the same year, Apple announces the iPad. 21 years ago in 2003, the first selections for the National Recording Registry are announced by the Library of Congress. 22 years ago in 2002, an explosion at a military storage facility in Lagos, Nigeria, kills at least 1,100 people and displaces over 20,000 others. 28 years ago in 1996, in a military coup, Colonel Ibrahim Barre Mainasara deposes the first democratically elected president of Niger, Mohamed Ousmane. In the same year, Germany first observes the International Holocaust Remembrance Day. 41 years ago in 1983, the pilot shaft of the Seikan Tunnel, the world's longest subaqueous tunnel, 53.85 kilometers, between the Japanese island of Honshu and Hokkaido, breaks through. 44 years ago in 1980, through cooperation between the US and Canadian governments, 6 American diplomats secretly escape hostilities in Iran in the culmination of the Canadian Caper. 51 years ago in 1973, the Paris Peace Accords officially ends the Vietnam War. Colonel William Nolde is killed in action, becoming the conflict's last recorded American combat casualty. 57 years ago in 1967, in the Apollo program, astronauts Gus Grissom, Ed White and Roger Chaffee are killed in a fire during a test of their Apollo 1 spacecraft at the Kennedy Space Center, Florida. In the same year, in the Cold War, the Soviet Union, the United States and the United Kingdom signed the Outer Space Treaty in Washington, D.C., banning deployment of nuclear weapons in space and limiting the usage of the moon and other celestial bodies to peaceful purposes. 59 years ago in 1965, South Vietnamese Prime Minister Tran Van Huong is removed by the military junta of Nguyen Khan. "63 years ago in 1961, the Soviet submarine S-80 sinks when its snorkel malfunctions, flooding the boat. 73 years ago in 1951, nuclear testing at the Nevada test site begins with Operation Ranger. 79 years ago in 1945 in World War II, the Soviet 322nd Rifle Division liberates the remaining inmates of Auschwitz-Birkenau. 80 years ago in 1944, also in World War II, the 900-day siege of Leningrad is lifted. 81 years ago in 1943, again in World War II, the 8th Air Force sorties 91 B-17s and B-24s to attack the U-boat construction yards at Wilhelmshaven, Germany. This was the first American bombing attack on Germany. 85 years ago in 1939, the first flight of the Lockheed P-38 Lightning. 96 years ago in 1928, in the Bundaberg tragedy, the diphtheria vaccine is contaminated with Staph aureus bacterium, resulting in the deaths of 12 children in the Australian town of Bundaberg. 97 years ago in 1927, Ibn Saud takes the title of King of Najd. 100 years ago in 1924, 6 days after his death, Lenin's body is carried into a specially erected mausoleum. 106 years ago in 1918, the beginning of the Finnish Civil War. 108 years ago in 1916, in World War I, the British government passes the Military Service Act that introduces conscription in the United Kingdom. 144 years ago in 1880, Thomas Edison receives a patent for his incandescent lamp. 150 years ago in 1874, Modest Mussorgsky's opera Boris Godunov premieres in Mariinsky Theatre in St. Petersburg. 155 years ago in 1869, in the Boshin War, Tokugawa rebels establish the Ezo Republic in Hokkaido. 156 years ago in 1868, again in the Boshin War, the Battle of Toba Fushimi begins between forces of the Tokugawa shogunate and pro-imperial factions. It will end in defeat for the shogunate and is a pivotal point in the Meiji Restoration. "199 years ago in 1825, the US Congress approves Indian Territory in what is present-day Oklahoma, clearing the way for forced relocation of the Eastern Indians on the Trail of Tears. 204 years ago in 1820, a Russian expedition led by Fabian Gottlieb von Bellingshausen and Mikhail Petrovich Lazarev discovers the Antarctic continent, approaching the Antarctic coast. 239 years ago in 1785, the University of Georgia is founded, the first state-chartered public university in the United States. 248 years ago in 1776, in the American Revolutionary War, Henry Knox's noble train of artillery arrives in Cambridge, Massachusetts. 265 years ago in 1759, Spanish forces clash with indigenous Huilliches of southern Chile in the Battle of Rio Bueno. 329 years ago in 1695, Mustafa II becomes the Ottoman Sultan and Caliph of Islam in Istanbul on the death of Ahmed II. Mustafa rules until his abdication in 1703. 418 years ago in 1606, in the Gunpowder Plot, the trial of Guy Fawkes and other conspirators begins, ending with their execution on January the 31st. 681 years ago in 1343, Pope Clement VI issues the papal bull Unigenitus to justify the power of the Pope and the use of indulgences. Nearly 200 years later, Martin Luther would protest this. 722 years ago in 1302, Dante Alighieri is condemned in absentia and exiled from Florence. 638 years ago in the year 1186, Henry VI, the son and heir of the Holy Roman Emperor Frederick I, marries Constance of Sicily. 1079 years ago in 945, the co-emperors Stephen and Constantine are overthrown and forced to become monks by Constantine VII, who becomes sole emperor of the Byzantine Empire. 1926 years ago in the year 98, Trajan succeeds his adopted father, Nerva, as Roman Emperor. Under his rule, the Roman Empire will reach its maximum extent. So that is all we have for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you found our little trip back through history both relaxing and informative. If you did indeed like the video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, and also consider leaving a comment below. All feedback is very much welcome. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel. It will really help the channel grow and will ensure that you are notified of future videos. Be sure to turn on notifications so that you are notified of future videos as soon as they are posted. Thank you again, and I hope to see you next time.